The United Kingdom, or the UK, is a fascinating blend of four distinct nations: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, each with its own history, culture, and identity. These cultural differences play a significant role in how people from these regions prefer to be identified, whether as British, English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish. Understanding these preferences requires delving into the history, politics, and cultural pride that shape these identities. England, the dominant identity. Many people from England identify as both British and English, with some using these terms interchangeably. However, there's an important distinction. English people tend to associate their identity more strongly with England itself, which has long been the political and economic centre of the UK. England's historical dominance, dating back to the days of the British Empire, often causes its people to be labelled British more readily, even though English culture is just one part of the broader UK identity. Some English people may feel less attachment to the term British because it represents a union of nations, and for them the label English is more specific, reflecting their regional pride. This has led to occasional tensions, as the English identity is sometimes seen as overshadowing the other cultures within the UK. Scotland's fierce national pride. Scotland's culture and identity are deeply rooted in centuries of history, which includes resistance to English rule and a strong sense of independence. Many Scots prefer to be called Scottish rather than British, seeing British as a term that could dilute their unique heritage. Scotland has its own legal system, educational practices, and even a separate parliament, all of which contribute to its distinct national identity. The 2014 Scottish Independence Referendum, though ultimately rejecting independence, revealed the deep-rooted sense of Scottish national pride and a desire to distinguish themselves from broader British identity. The Scots may acknowledge their place within the UK, but often see themselves as fundamentally different from their English neighbours. Wales, a revival of language and culture. Welsh identity is heavily intertwined with its language, history, and mythology. Many Welsh people prefer to be identified as Welsh first, British second, particularly due to their strong linguistic and cultural revival in recent decades. Welsh is still widely spoken in Wales, and there is a strong movement to preserve this language as part of the national identity. Much like Scotland, Wales has a distinct cultural heritage that has been historically overshadowed by England's dominance within the UK. The Welsh have their own parliament and legal distinctions, and many take pride in their Celtic roots, celebrating traditions that are unique to Wales, such as Eisteddfod, a festival of Welsh music and poetry. While some embrace their place within the UK, others may feel that British diminishes their cultural individuality. Northern Ireland, a complex identity. The identity debate is particularly sensitive in Northern Ireland due to its complex political history and the ongoing tension between the Irish and British identities. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, but many identify as Irish, particularly those from the Catholic community who advocate for a united Ireland. Meanwhile, the Protestant community may be more inclined to identify as British. The Good Friday Agreement of 1998 brought peace to Northern Ireland after decades of conflict known as the Troubles. But the question of identity remains deeply polarizing. Some people in Northern Ireland embrace a hybrid identity, feeling both British and Irish, while others strongly prefer one over the other. Differences and similarities across the UK. While the nations of the UK are distinct in many ways, language, law, education, and cultural traditions, they also share important similarities that bind them together. Each region has contributed to the rich tapestry of British culture, from the industrial heritage of the north of England and the artistic traditions of Wales, to Scotland's contribution to literature and Northern Ireland's role in the peace process. There is also a shared pride in certain aspects of UK life, such as the monarchy, the BBC, and participation in global events like the Olympics. For all their differences, the people of the UK often come together for major celebrations and collective efforts, such as commemorating national events or showing solidarity in times of crisis, as seen in response to global events like the COVID-19 pandemic. Why are these identities so different? The varying degrees of attachment to Britishness stem from the UK's complex and often turbulent history. England's dominance over the other nations, particularly following the Acts of Union, created a power imbalance that many Scots, Welsh and Irish have resented. This has led to distinct cultural revivals and nationalist movements in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, all seeking to maintain their unique identities in the face of English influence. Geography, too, plays a role. The rugged landscapes of Scotland and Wales, for example, helped preserve their languages and traditions, even as England became more industrialized and urban. Northern Ireland's proximity to the Republic of Ireland also affects its cultural leanings, creating a unique situation not seen elsewhere in the UK. In conclusion, the identities within the UK are complex and multifaceted, reflecting a rich history of both union and division. While many people in the UK are comfortable identifying as British, others prefer the more specific labels of English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish, underscoring the cultural diversity within the kingdom. Understanding these preferences requires appreciating both the shared experiences that unite the UK and the unique histories that make each nation distinct.